I got into bodybuilding following an injury to my shoulder playing hockey. My career was over in that route, and I needed something to do with my athletic desires. And I went into a gym, saw a sign for a show, and said, screw it, let's try that. During the prep, I realized I would never do another show because I hated it, because I like bad food, and now that's what I do for a living, so whoops. But yeah, best accident of my life. The show I'm most proud of is the 2011 NPC Nationals. Funny because it's actually the worst placing of my career, but the reason I liked that one so much was I had told my trainer, Chris Aceto, that I wanted to be shredded out of my mind, and I had about 6 weeks of that prep where I had to take it one day at a time because I was so exhausted and still pushing for more and more and more that mentally I could really only handle so much thinking ahead. I was completely shredded out of my mind at that show, and actually that's the first show that I met my good friend Jose Raymond, and I remember forever because he walked up to me after the show and he goes, "You didn't place well, but you were fucking shredded." I remember thinking, that's all I cared about. So I was really stoked on that show, and funny how in bodybuilding how it works, it's not just where'd you do your best that makes your best shows, so that's definitely my favorite. Top 2 traits of a good coach would be no ego. You gotta make sure that you don't think you're gonna tell the body what to do. So it's a matter of visually watching the body react to the changes you make, whether it's for the better or the worse, and knowing how to adapt from them. The next trait I would say is key is knowing your athletes and understanding who needs what. Coaching is coaching, whether it's for bodybuilding, sports, whatever. Your job is to get the most out of your athletes. So some of my athletes need to be coddled, some of my athletes need to be told they're a bitch. My job is to know which is which so I can get the most out of them. I feel like everyone's gonna have the same answer, but the 2 best bodybuilding books of all time are Chris Aceto's Championship Bodybuilding and the Arnold Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. You know which one I've read? Neither, but I've heard they're awesome. Favorite thing I used to do with Zoe. I could list about 100 of these. So my absolute favorite thing that I used to do with Zoe was car drives pretty much anywhere. Zoe was a dog that was out the window. She wasn't trying to like put her head out a little bit. It was like full body. I used to actually have to hold her collar or leash to make sure she couldn't fall out of the damn thing. So yeah, any car ride with Zoe was a good ride. Plus, people looked at me like I was handsome when in reality they weren't looking at me, they were looking at her. So my training has always been based on progressive overload. And it happened because when I first got into bodybuilding, I started following Dante Trudel, and I saw the results that his clients were having. And I just knew that the way their physiques looked, kind of a rugged, cement truck kind of look was what I wanted. So I followed his lead. That became my program, and I nagged him into training me, and that's where I got where I am, and now I can't imagine training the other way. I have an attention span of a 2-year-old, so doing 5 sets and going home just kind of fits me. If there was an itch in the middle of my back, I would do what I do for all things I can't do on myself. I would find someone to do it for me. I'm not afraid also to lean up on a wall and look like I'm dancing, do whatever I have to do. But yeah, at home, I actually have a stick with a little scratcher, because I actually can barely reach the back of my neck, let alone the back of my center of my back. So no, if it was just my hands, I'd be screwed. I wouldn't say Instagram's the new authority on bodybuilding, but it's definitely a great place to get it because all of us are there creating our own content. And what I love about bodybuilding is it gives you a way to have direct contact with the top athletes. Unlike other sports, I mean, you're not going to comment on Derek Jeter's post and get a response from him, but in the bodybuilding world you can. So I'd say it's the most accessible place for bodybuilders. The source of bodybuilding, you gotta live it to actually know what it is. I would say the best rep and set scheme to build muscle is gonna be rest pause. So rest pause essentially means you're gonna choose a weight. Let's say we're doing a rest pause set of 15. You're gonna choose a weight that you can get a little above half of the total reps in your first attempt. So we'll say we get 9 reps. You're gonna rack the weight, take between 30 and 45 seconds, choose one every time. Breathe during those times. Once that time is up, you're gonna unrack with the same amount of weight. You go to failure again. This time you're probably gonna get about half of it. So let's say you get 4 reps. You're gonna rack it again. You're gonna wait 30 to 45 seconds. Unrack, go to failure one more time with that same weight. This time you might get like 2. So the idea, what I just said, 9, 4, 2, 9, 13, 15. That's a rest pause set of 15. It's a way of using a weight you can only really do for about 9 reps 15 times in a short amount of time. So rest pause is the magic to muscle. Best way to get your hamstrings to grow is get in a stretch position. For me, that would be RDL or Romanian deadlift. That's definitely gonna be the best way to get your hams to grow. I like to do those, again, progressive overload style. So you're gonna be doing 2 sets, maximum effort, 1 set of like 6 to 8 reps, 1 of like 10 to 12, and you wanna be absolute failure. Key on those is keep all the focus in the hamstrings. I don't go all the way up. I find if you go all the way up, it's gonna transfer your hamstrings into your back. So it's about a 3/4 range of motion, hard and heavy. Keep it as safe as you can, but make them grow. Mutant Nation, this is Dusty Hanshaw, and those are 10 questions, things you might not have known about how I see things.